What's going on YouTube? It's your man D Black here with another video. Just want to talk about real quick MPC X, MPC Live, and how people are using them as far as like getting them into your DAW, right? Obviously we know that MPC X SE, this thing right here has been causing a lot of talk. And I want to talk about that at first, man, because I really think that this is going to bring some good stuff to the community as far as gear is concerned. Obviously, there's a lot of back and forth controversy, good points being brought up. And what it does is it educates everybody, right? There's people that been making beats from back in the day, or what we would call old school producers. I guess I would fall in that category now. I accept it. I'm an old head. Then you got new school producers, whatever the case is, man. I think that this conversation is good because, again, it's shedding light on a lot of things that have been overlooked. And what it also does is bring good competition as far as like the manufacturers of these devices that we use to create music. Like, I think this is awesome. It's going to make Akai step their game up, or, you know, even other companies. Who knows what Native Instruments about to drop. We see that the Push 3 just dropped as well. That got some dope features on that. So I think these conversations and kind of holding Akai to the fire like that is, in a way, it's good. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's just going to make the competition even more fierce, which is a good thing for all of us, right? We're the users, whether we're professionals, whether we're hobbyists. I'm a hobbyist myself. I got a day job, so I do these things. This is the stuff that I do to have fun. My job is serious, so I don't want to be serious all the time. I want to come to the studio and I want to lay stuff down, right? It's going to benefit all of us. We all consume, whether you got it for free, whether you pay for it, whatever the case is. It's going to benefit all of us to have this kind of constructive criticism with these companies. All right. With that being said, the main part of the videos I do want to talk about how you are getting your beats from the MPC X, MPC Live, X SE, Key 61, whatever device that you're using, honestly, whatever a standalone device, whether it's keyboards, whatever. How are you getting it into your DAW? Right. And there's an interesting topic, and I made a video on this before about using the 8 outs. And I think I was using it in one of my videos to track into Pro Tools. And that's any DAW. You could track into Studio One, Logic, Ableton, Pro Tools. There's a bunch of other stuff people use, Reason, whatever. Right? Anything, FL Studio, anything that you use. If you're using hardware, you paid for these features on the hardware, right? I think EA Ski made a video about he touched on this. The video wasn't about it, but he just talked about using the 8 outs, right? On the MPC X. We are paying money for this. This XE costs, right? It costs $2,500 with tax. All right, you walking out the door paying 26 something, right? We all understand that. That's what you're paying for. Some people would argue it takes too much time to do that whole track out thing where you got all your 8 outputs connected to, whether it's a mixing console, whether it's a tape machine, whether it's a digital mixer, whether it's a 500 series rack, whatever it is. People feel that takes too much time. If you're a professional, you're going to use your tools a certain way, and sometimes you do need to cut time and whatever the case is, right? But think of it this way. Right? You drag and drop, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about dragging and dropping versus tracking out your beats. All right. So let's say you drag and drop and you mix inside of whatever DAW that you're using. That is an option. You can do that. But is it really cutting the time down by doing that? Let's just be real. Is it really cutting the time down? Right? Because you're going to be in the DAW mixing the heck out of this thing to try to get it to sound the way that you want it to sound, right? That means more plugins, more processors, more tweaking. So you're still going to use the same amount of time, right? If you ask any professional mix engineer, right? Professional, they'll tell you that the best mixes that they get are people that send in things that are recorded properly, right? If things are recorded to the highest level, That means coming out of the gear or the instruments that you use, right? And it's processed before it even goes in. If it's EQ'd, if it's compressed or whatever, before it even goes into the DAW, the mix engineer, it's going to be a lot easier for them to do what it is they need to do with minimal processing, right? With plugins. It's going to be very minimal because the sound's already it's going to be good. They don't have to do all of this stuff to fatten the sound up, all this, all this extra processing that you would have to do if somebody sent you some stems that are just thin and, super digital or whatever the case is. You do have to do more processing. And anybody that wants to argue that, man, go in the comments, man, shoot the stuff, man. I would really like to hear that, because any professional mix engineer is going to tell you that the better things are recorded, the better the mix is going to come. The better the mix that a mastering engineer has, the better the master is going to be. It's that simple. If you're recording, say you got some good equipment, right? You got the money, you got some outboard stuff, you got different compressors, preamps, one of those expensive mixing consoles or whatever the case is, man. They say you got some gear, right? But you dragging and dropping. Let's really think about this. Right now, you wasted so much money because you got a good mixer, or you have a 500 series rack that's good, or you have some outboard stuff that sounds good, right? And you paid $2,500, $2,600 or whatever for an MPC X SE, or the Live, or the Key 61 or whatever, man. You're paying top dollar for this stuff. You're not getting the best out of all the equipment that you've invested in, right? There are people that have a whole bunch of outboard stuff and they still dragging and dropping things into their computer, man. Use the stuff that you have. Now, if you don't have any of that, then obviously that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? You got to do what you got to do with the equipment that you have. Nobody's telling you to go out here and buy more equipment to get a sound or whatever the case is, man. If you don't have it and all you could do is plug for some of y'all out there, you know what I mean? You got the speakers plugged up to your MPC X. Like that is your computer, or that is your interface. So if that's the case, then hey, rock with what you got. You know what I mean? But if you guys have all of this equipment, man, and we all see it, man, I got a bunch of equipment back there, but I'm using it. I'm not about to spend all this money on stuff and I'm just not using it, right? I got a 500 series rack back here, right? 500 series rack. I have API 505 direct inputs. I got 6 of them, okay? I'm using all of them, right? I'm using all 6 of them things. Why? Because I have it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted my sound to be good going into the DAW, right? With that lunchbox, that API lunchbox and those 505 DIs, I can crank that gain, right? I'm going out from processing my drums through that, and I can get that hit, right? I'm going from that to a attenuator, right? Because the API 505 DI does not allow you to control the output. So when you turn that gain up and you're clipping, that's what the output's going to be. I have a digital mixer back there, right? What is it? The PreSonus Studio Live 32. Okay, I have that. I can't crank my MPC through that. If it starts clipping, it sounds like garbage, man. It's a digital console, right? So you don't want to clip in the digital world. It doesn't sound good. Right? It's not going to give you this harmonic distortion or any of that other stuff. It's just going to sound horrible, right? So I got all my keyboards, my MPC Key 61, all of that's running through the lunchbox, right? I got that gain cranked, and it also has a knob on there. Y'all should check it out. The API 505 DI has a knob on there, and that allows you to thicken up the sound, to fatten up the sound, which is a pretty cool feature, right? So I got the gain cranked. I got that other knob cranked up, to get a fatter sound. And then I have that all going out into a Red Labs attenuator, something like that. Oh, let me get that real quick. This thing right here, okay, it's a passive attenuator, okay? So my lunchbox is going out to the attenuator, from the attenuator into my Studio Live mixer. The attenuator allows me to turn down the level before it hits the digital console, right? So I get the benefits. I get the benefits of basically cranking into that API 505 DI, but I'm not going to clip when I'm going into the mixing console, okay? So I get that sound, right? I'm getting that analog sound before I go into the DAW, okay? And that's what I'm looking for. I want that sound. I want my keyboards ran through it. I want my Key 61 running through that, and whatever else that I use on the outside here. Because again, I'm not going to spend money for these things and I'm not using it. You know what I'm saying? You could get the MPC one if you want to just drag and drop, and even then it has outputs. Use the outputs. You get what I'm saying? Like, use what you pay for, man. We all fall victim to that. I don't use every feature on every piece of gear that I have, but I try my hardest to do it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you spending your hard-earned money. However you get your money is how you get it, and it's still hard-earned out here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, think of it that way. Why would you want to spend $2,500 on an MPC X SE to drag and drop into your computer? And then again, these are the same people that have little mixing boards, or the Tascam tape machines, or, you know, different effects processors and all of this other stuff that's outboard gear. Why wouldn't you want your MPC running through that? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want the MPC running through that and giving your sound the way it is? Whether you keep the converters that's in the MPCs, whatever, at least if you have other outboard gear, you can do something and use what you pay for. If not, drag and drop is the option, and it's a convenient option for those that do not have all the extra gear and all this other stuff, man. But a lot of y'all do, man. We see y'all studios, man. A lot of y'all got some nice shit, and that's dope. But use what you got, man. If you got it, track it in, man. But that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today, obviously, because there's just been a lot of controversy going on about sound and different things like that. And again, this is good stuff that they talking about, right? This is good stuff. I want to see a Kai come out with something that's crazy, right? That push is looking crazy, right? I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to get it or anything like that. I am more comfortable on the MPC platform, and I'm pretty sure Native Instruments going to drop something heavy. So I just like to see the competition, man. Till next time, I'll holla at y'all.